post-game reaction.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is Dubs OT.
Can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at knbr.com and on the KNBR app.
Now Goodwin's got it with 10. Jordan Goodwin trying to get it back to Booker. Now at 5. Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks for the win. Air ball. Goodwin got it. Oh, he called a foul. And there's a foul on the rebound.
A foul on the rebound, indeed. And the Warriors wind up losing in Phoenix tonight, 99-98. The final is Goodwin ends up missing the first free throw. Looked like he was a little bit nervous, left it short, but hits the second one. I'm not sure how you call that foul in a tie game with a couple of guys fighting for a rebound to decide it basically in that moment. Didn't love that call, not going to lie. But the Warriors ultimately did it to themselves. Again, too many dry spells, too many turnovers, and just not enough playmaking and shot making for Golden State. Phoenix able to get a run whenever they needed it, just enough in the second half to prevail and beat the Warriors again by that 99-98 score. It is Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Warriors are 2 games under 500. They've reached a new low point for their season at 2 games under the 500 mark as they sit now at 13-15 on the year. Also, look, this is a Dub show, and we talk Warriors, we talk NBA and all of that, but you can't not acknowledge what just aired here on the Sports Leader with the Rams and the Seahawks. Probably the game of the year in the NFL on Thursday Night Football, with Seattle prevailing in overtime to beat the Los Angeles Rams by the final of 38-37 in the overtime. Eric Saubert with the catch, the former Niner from 2024 tight end, gets the reception on the 2-point conversion after Sam Darnold and the Seahawks found themselves down 30-14 in the fourth quarter, down 16. Wild comeback to tie it at 30, force it into overtime. Both teams had multiple possessions to try and win it. And Seattle now 12-3 on the season, so they move into first place in the NFC West. The Rams drop to 11-4, and they drop back down now into the wild card pool along with the 49ers. And so Niners going to be in Indianapolis on Monday night, and a game that has a lot of ramifications tonight up in Seattle. And Niner fans, with the ability for them to get the 1 seed with a Seattle victory, I think you got to like the outcome, although you still have to beat Seattle if you're the 49ers and beat Indy and beat Chicago. But Seattle immediately moves into the 1 seed currently in the NFC, and the 49ers dip to 6. The Rams go to 5. If the 49ers, though, can win in Indianapolis on Monday night, the Niners would then move up to 5 with a chance to win out and get all the way to 1. So typically, again, we'd be talking Dubs and Dubs only, and we will get into the Warriors conversation. But here on the Sports Leader and your home for 49er football, we want to make sure we set the table for this is a 2-screen night, to be sure, across sports. And I had the multi-screens going with the Warrior game, and obviously locking in to be able to do the show here whenever we hit the airwaves and on YouTube and Twitch, the greatest YouTube chat in sports. Appreciate everybody filing in here. Again, what a night, a wild one in Phoenix that sees the Warriors go down. But some good news, I think, for the 49ers. It gives them an opportunity to potentially move up in the NFC playoff picture. But we'll see. It's now on San Francisco. If they win the last 3, they can get all the way up to 1 with a bye and home field advantage and all of those things. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. The number to jump in and join the conversation here on Dubs OT. Warriors lose 99-98. And, point blank, bottom line, just a grinder type game tonight. There were a lot of question marks coming into this game. What would Steve Kerr's rotation look like? Jonathan Kaminga back in the rotation. Now that makes headlines because Jonathan Kaminga always makes headlines, good, bad, or indifferent. What would Steve Kerr do to try and find some consistency with this starting lineup? Well, he did say he was going to start the same group of Stephen Curry, Moses Moody, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Quentin Post. But the story of the night was the turnovers for the Warriors, and it's just an all too familiar problem for Golden State. They have 3 days off in between games. This is the third game they've played in 11 days. So I don't want to hear anybody talk about rest or schedule or being dealt an unfortunate hand to begin the season. They're 0-3 in the games with all the rest here over the last 11 days. And we'll see if they can get one coming up on Saturday in the rematch against Phoenix. But you look at it tonight, 20 turnovers for the Warriors, 30 points for the Phoenix Suns in this game off of those turnovers. And it ultimately proves to be the difference as the Warriors just turn it over too many times down the stretch in this one, scoring droughts when they build leads. I mean, it looked like so many games this year where the Warriors look like they're going to take control in the middle of the third quarter and can't hold a lead. Why? Because they turn the basketball over and they don't have enough shot making and they just go cold. And it takes so little for the opposition to get back into the game against them. I mean, we talk nightly about the margin for error on this team. And tonight it found the Warriors in the third quarter after Golden State was up 29-26 into the first quarter. Again, too many turnovers in that frame, but the Warriors were really making an effort to go to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler answered the bell tonight with 31 points on 17 shots. So he was aggressive. He was getting to the line. He was looking to attack matchups. They got a good night from Brandon Pajemski, 18 points plus 15 to lead the team. And tonight it was Steph Curry's turn to not perform at the level that you need him to perform at for the Warriors to win games. They just can't win games without Steph, really, and Jimmy and somebody else performing at a high level. You got to have at least two. And tonight it was Steph, a rough shooting night, 3 for 14, 2 of 9 from 3. And if the Warriors get closer to an average or a normal Steph Curry game, the Warriors win this game probably comfortably, but they didn't get that. But how many nights has it been exactly the opposite, including the last 2 games that the Warriors played, going back to Sunday in Portland and the game a week ago on Friday night against Minnesota that the Warriors find themselves getting beat in that. So they're 0-3 since Steph Curry's returned from injury. And after all of the feel-good vibes from a couple of weekends ago and the back end of the roster getting them a couple of wins in Cleveland and Chicago, the Warriors find themselves right back now at a new low point on the season, sitting here at 13 and 15. Warriors second quarter pushed the lead from 3 all the way up to 7. And then early in the third quarter, like we've seen so many different times, they ramp it up to 60-46. Dillon Brooks is in foul trouble at that point, but the Suns end up going on a 20-6 run to tie the game at 66. Booker started to get rolling after it was the Dillon Brooks show for Phoenix in the first half. Warriors took some bad shots, had some turnovers. They got an answer from Pajemski and Curry to extend the lead back up to a 5-point margin at 71-66. But again, the turnovers, 7 third quarter turnovers, and the Warriors just reach this point seemingly in every single game where they can't hit a shot. And I think it comes down to 2 things. It's playmaking and it's shot making. I think if they had better playmakers, they wouldn't turn it over as much. And if they had shot makers, they could be afforded a few more turnovers throughout the course of a night to be able to still make their way to a victory. They were up 71-70 going to the fourth. First 5 points of the quarter go to Phoenix. It was a little back and forth. Pajemski doing his thing, hitting a 3 to give the Warriors the lead with 10 minutes to go. But then immediately another run after the Warriors grabbed the lead to put the Warriors back down 6. and then ultimately 8 as it wound up being a 10-1 run for Phoenix, extending out to an 18-5 run over the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. Then Steve Kerr takes Steph Curry and Draymond Green out for a rest with 7 minutes to go, down by 8, and the Warriors come back with Jimmy Butler leading the way, along with Brandon Podziemski, as the Warriors end up again with a 1-point lead from down 8. And then the Suns immediately go on an 8-0 run, and the Warriors go cold again. It was Quentin Post missing a corner 3, Draymond Green with a turnover, Quentin Post with another turnover. And, man, Quentin Post and Moses Moody, we talk all the time about the Warriors needing to find the 5 players that can finish games. And Moody and Quentin Post just don't hit shots at the end of games. And we talk about, knowing who your finishing 5 is, and knowing that Steph and Jimmy and Draymond are going to be a part of that. And then there's a couple of open spots, but you got to have guys that are multifaceted threats. If you're going to put them out there, it can't just be offense and it can't just be defense. And, DeAnthony Melton was somebody that was kind of anointed as the 4th player in that mix. Tonight, Brandon Podziemski earned it, but there's just too many unknowns on a night in, night out basis for Golden State, who found themselves down 5 with 38 seconds to go. Then all hell kind of breaks loose, as all hell was breaking loose up in Seattle with the Seahawks coming back and the Rams going ahead. And it looks like the game's going to end, and then it doesn't, and Seattle goes down and ultimately wins it. As all this is going on, you get Steph whacked after a three-pointer hitting the stomach by Dillon Brooks, which leads to a flagrant foul and a couple of shots for Steph. Curry hits the free throw. Jimmy Butler hits a 3, and you're thinking, wow, are the Warriors going to be able to escape or at least find their way into an overtime session? Suns go 2 for 1. Booker hits a jumper. Steph gets fouled, ties the game, and then an absolute brutal. I think that's and look, you know me, I'm not one to complain about the officiating. And I don't think it's some officials are against the Warriors kind of conspiracy or anything like that. I just hate that foul on the rebound, with GP2 getting the foul against Jordan Goodwin of the Suns with 0.4 of a second to go. To me, there has to be a clear-cut advantage as to, hey, he was going to get the ball, and because he was going to get the ball, GP2 grabs him and prevents him from getting the ball, and it was going to be kind of a blatant, clear-cut, definitive outcome there. To me, that's just 2 guys in a tie game, tangled up, going for a rebound, and you let that one ride and you play an extra 5 minutes. And again, given the way the Warriors had played and executed, no guarantee the Warriors win the game. So I'm not saying that the Warriors would have won the game had that been not called. I just hate that call in that situation. Absolutely hate it. Don't think you should call that and just allow for the teams who had both been up and down, both had really great moments on the night, both had some pretty brutal moments on the night. Let them decide the game with another 5 minutes, and the chips will fall where they may. But all in all, just a brutal loss. Inventing new ways to lose, Golden State, when it looks like maybe they're going to turn a corner in a number of different ways. And I'll tell you the other thing this game does. This game completely ramps up the pressure and wipes away any of the potential good vibes that may have been building for the Warriors and their show of competitive spirit. Everything that was a negative storyline for the Warriors coming into the game tonight not only remains a negative storyline for the Warriors, whether it's Kerr and his decisions, whether it's this team just flat out not being talented enough as it's currently constituted, the Jonathan Kaminga stuff. Kaminga did get back in there tonight in a limited role, as you would have expected. Don't think he was particularly good. Don't think he particularly cost him. He was just kind of a guy playing his role in limited time out there on the court. 10 minutes. Again, I thought he'd play anywhere between maybe 12 and 20 minutes. He ended up playing 10. But again, not really a positive or negative net impact on the game either way. But everything that's been the angst the frustration that's been surrounding the Warriors from the top down. Joe Lacob with the email to a disgruntled fan. Somebody want to send Joe an email right now and see what he responds and how he responds? Because if you were frustrated at the way the team lost the game at home against Minnesota, and then you were frustrated enough to send an email to a disgruntled fan in the aftermath of the game in Portland, what the heck are you doing tonight if you're Joe Lacob? So Warriors get beat tonight in the fourth quarter, 29-27, in the game, 99-98, the final. And we're talking about it here, Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Let's get to the phones. We do have Kyle Haar in our Daly City studios. Kyle, good evening to you, my friend. A lot going on tonight. What a wild night between the Warriors game, and it looked like that game was going to end after the NFL game. I mean, the NFL game was basically done. I'm thinking, wow, we're going to have 5 minutes to spare here as the NFL game ends on the Leader, and then we'll be jumping in and talking some Dubs, win or lose, and then the NFL game just goes completely bleep crazy. And Seattle comes back from 16 down in the fourth quarter to beat the Rams to take first place in the NFC. And then the Warriors, Kyle, I mean, they are just inventing more painful, just excruciating ways to lose NBA games. How you holding up tonight, my man?
Oh, definitely overstimulated. A lot kind of going on. I have the Warriors game going up on one TV. You got Prime Video on my phone, but it was funny because when the Seahawks had a near interception on the Rams opening drive of overtime, that happened while I saw the foul to end the game for the Warriors. So I was like, wait, what? Did they call a foul? There's no time left. I was like, what happened? But anyway, it was just a lot going on. I mean, both games were crazy and just crazy in their own ways. I mean, the Seahawks and Rams game, that was potentially game of the year, but
Oh, it was the game of the year to this point. I don't think there's much doubt about that being the game of the year. We'll see. Maybe there's another one to come here when the 49ers end up playing Seattle, or maybe that Niner Bears game or whatever. But yeah, it was a wild night. And 49er fans rooting for Seattle might as well at this point get a shot at that 1 seed. And if the Niners went out, they would get the 1 seed. Now you got to beat Indy and then beat the Bears on Sunday Night Football, and then potentially beat Seattle on Monday or on in the final game of the year. We don't know when that game will be to get the 1 seed, but if they do, that's exactly where they will be. So miraculous, Seattle able to come back and win that game. Let's get to the phones here. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Kyle, you said we have Adam in San Jose here on the Leader.
We do have Adam in San Jose.
What's going on, Adam?
What's up, JD? It just seems like Steph and Jimmy can't coincide this year. When one of them is going off, the other one is struggling, and then vice versa. Last year, it seemed like there was a lot more chemistry and they could both get their own. And this year, it seems like when Steph's going off, Jimmy's struggling. When Jimmy goes off, Steph's struggling. Anyways, I'm really calling because we're often blaming the young guys for not playing well, but we got to bring Draymond into this conversation. And the reason why I'm picking on Draymond is because there's so much reports out there that they're saying the organization is only willing to trade Draymond in a scenario where we get Giannis in return and nothing else. Well, besides the flagrant fouls and the ejections, what has Draymond done well this season? Those have been reduced. He's not getting ejected out of games. He's not picking up flagrant fouls. He's not fighting on the court. But what is he doing well? His defense isn't making up for his lack of offense like it was in past years, and his turnovers are at an all-time high. He's very ineffective out there. His defense isn't even at the level that it was in the past. I mean, we just lost to a mediocre team without their second-best player, Kevin Porter Jr. And then, as a Niner fan, shout out the Sea Chickens.
Yeah, Niners get a little help tonight, and so you'll take the positive, but yeah, the negative as it relates to the work. Look, the turnovers are the big thing as it relates to Draymond, Adam. It's the turnovers. When he's been on the floor this year, the Warriors have been an excellent defensive team. So I do think he has been a net positive in terms of his defense, but the 1 for 6 nights from three, the 3 for 9 nights shooting the ball, and, tonight, the turnovers. I mean, this is 2 straight games with, just an astronomical amount of turnovers, just an unacceptable amount of turnovers as somebody that's going to be among the Warriors' primary ball handlers. And so it has to get fixed. Again, I hear what you're saying in terms of the Warriors only willing to listen for only willing to include Draymond for somebody like Giannis. I still do think the net positive is there to where there are, and I don't know if there are other players. I think Anthony Davis would be another one where I think you'd have to consider it at this point. Now, Anthony Davis is somebody that's a little out of shape right now, given everything that's going on in Dallas, and is extremely injury prone. So you're not getting a perfect player in terms of Anthony Davis, but I would probably consider moving Draymond for him. But the list is not great in terms of player. Like, it's not for me. And Adam, I don't know if you're still there. Do we still have Adam on the line? I'm not sure who that list would include beyond really those 2 guys. Like, it's not where I'm just scouring the market for $25 million players to replace Draymond, who still is somebody that can anchor an elite defense and still is somebody who has to cut down on the turnovers in a big way, but is so connected to Stephen Curry's success in the Warriors' offensive system. So to me, that's what leads as much as anything to the unwillingness to be able to maybe part with Draymond, unless it's for somebody that's got an amazing career track record like a Giannis, who's obviously still in his prime, or somebody like Anthony Davis, who would be a terrific player that's a little bit older. So to me, that's where I'm at on that. But he's got to be better. I mean, flat out, point blank, bottom line into story. He's got to be better, and he's got to cut down on the turnovers, and he's got to be able to impact the game in the ways that we know he can impact the game, while not turning it over 5 times a game, 8 times a game. Like, you can't have that at this point. So appreciate it, Adam. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627, the number to jump in and join the conversation here. Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader. Do have a line open if you want to jump in and get to the front of the line here as we get things rolling on this Thursday night. A wild night. Warriors lose 99-98. They're 13-15. They have lost 3 in a row since Steph Curry has come back. They are free falling in the Western Conference playoff race at this point, as you look at the standings, and we are now about a third of the way through the season, and the Warriors are down to 9th currently in the Western Conference, which, I mean, you think about that. I mean, what a massive disappointment. And again, you're still a couple of games clear of 10th, but sheesh, man, you're 9th right now, behind Memphis, behind Phoenix. I mean, you say a mediocre Phoenix team. Well, if Phoenix is mediocre at 15-12, the Warriors would kill to be 15-12 right now. Warriors would die to be 15-12 right now, and 2 games out of the 6th seed. I mean, they're 5 games back of the 6th seed in the Western Conference. And again, I do think, tonight is the kind of night to go back to what Adam said. I mean, if you look around, it's young players and veteran players tonight for the Warriors. I always look at the best players first. Steph Curry had a bad game, and you're right. He and Jimmy Butler have not been able to get on the same page on the same nights enough. And it's, the Warriors just need everybody engaged, everybody locked in, everybody, maybe you're not going to shoot the basketball well, but everybody competing at a high level to be able to win on a night in, night out basis. And then you need production as well from more guys than the Warriors are consistently getting production from. And, tonight, as we mentioned, Steph, 33 minutes, Didn't have it. 15, that's not good enough. Again, for how many nights has Steph done it and nobody else has? It's happened a lot. So I think Steph can get a pass on this. Jimmy was awesome. I mentioned it during the game on social media. That's the exact Jimmy Butler game that the Warriors must get moving forward if they're going to have a chance. That is the game that they have to get from Jimmy Butler consistently. That level of engagement, that level of looking to shoot, that level of looking to attack, that level of looking to get to the free throw line. It's just the reality. The Warriors are not good enough for him to be coasting through the regular season. Tonight, he did not. Makes you wonder, and I think he did hear a little bit of the noise over the last few days with all the off time. I also think, as Steve Kerr said after the game in Portland on Sunday, that he was going to have to do a better job of trying to get Jimmy Butler the ball in areas to where he could attack. I also think you bring Jimmy Butler in and you say, hey, look, man, attack, get after it. And so he did that tonight. You look at Draymond, 5 turnovers. I mean, it felt like 18. The Warriors end up with 20 again. I always say who had the turnovers tonight, and it was a lot of folks that shared the brunt, but it was highlighted by Draymond with the 5. And then you had Jimmy had 2, Steph had 2, Pods had 2, Melton had 2, Buddy had 2. So it was really spread around for Golden State tonight. I think everybody who played tonight for the Warriors had at least 1 turnover, with the exception of Trace Jackson-Davis, who only played 7 minutes. But everybody for Golden State had at least 1, minus TJD that played. Kaminga had 1, Santos had 1, Peyton had 1, Quentin Post had 1. Everybody, Moses Moody had 1. But yeah, Draymond, you can't have that from Draymond Green on a night like tonight. They got it from Podziemski tonight. They didn't get it from Moses Moody, who started, played 30 minutes. And again, another one of these games where Moses Moody just inconsistent with the shooting. I thought Moody's hustle game was on point. He was a -1 for the night in terms of the plus minus, but he had 8 boards. He had 3 assists. But you know what? Moses Moody's got to make shots. Otherwise, the Warriors don't have enough offensive. They don't. Otherwise, they don't have enough on offense. And tonight, he didn't do it. 2 for 10, 1 of 6 from 3. Now, who do you go to if you're not going to go to Moses Moody? I mean, tonight's a night where Steve Kerr's trying to stick to a regular group, and he goes with his guys. And basically, the 6 players who played the most, Curry, Moody, Jimmy, Draymond, and Podziemski. And that 5, which was the Warriors' best 5 from post-Jimmy Butler trade, ends up finishing each half and finishing the game. And the Warriors still wind up coming up short. They don't get it from Moody tonight. Kaminga was a non-factor. Again, Pods played pretty well, but not enough from the others in this one tonight. Buddy Hield, pedestrian, 10 minutes, 3 points. You love DeAnthony Melton's floor game. You love his defense. You love his intangibles. But let me tell you, you can't have DeAnthony Melton be 1 for 6 and 0 for 4 from 3-point range. So you like DeAnthony Melton, and he's somebody that you want to have on the floor a lot, and you want him to close and finish games. But DeAnthony Melton is somebody that doesn't score near consistently enough to be on the floor with regularity, as much as Steve Kerr and the Warriors would prefer that he is. So even he is a flawed player in this current construct, where the Warriors lack, I think, playmaking, which could combat some of the turnovers. And again, I think the number one thing still that they lack is shot making, because if you look at some of the analytics and some of the metrics, the Warriors are a team that is in the top third of the NBA in terms of open looks generated and that sort, but they just don't hit them. When you look at their overall offense, it's bottom third, or teetering toward the end of the, teetering toward the middle of the pack, toward the bottom third. So they're getting shots and they're not hitting shots. So it's a matter of, do you keep the creators that you have and look to add shooting? And can you do that without completely wrecking the defense that that you have played to this point in the year, which has been in the top third to even, the top five of the NBA throughout the course of the season. So 808 KMBR 415-808-5627. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll get into the YouTube chat. Wild night. Kyle's Clicks, our first installment here on this Thursday. Straight ahead. Warriors lose 99-98. And we're talking about it right here on the Sports Leader.
Live from downtown.
Hurry, way downtown. Bang!
This is Dubs OT with John Dickinson on the Sports Leader, streaming live at knbr.com and on the KNBR app.
You don't need a three here. You don't need it. You have time, but you don't have any timeouts. First thing, get the ball inbounded. They're going to switch everything. Jimmy will launch a three and tie it. Jimmy Butler ties the game.
3 of Jimmy Butler's 31, but not enough. He tied the game at 96 there. That was after Steph and Curry got fouled by Dillon Brooks. Dirty play, shocker, from Dillon Brooks as he whacked Steph after the three-point miss in the midsection. Play was reviewed. Dillon Brooks assessed a flagrant foul. Warriors get the ball plus the 2 shots that went to Steph and Curry at the free throw line. Then they come out of that make with possession, and Jimmy immediately hits a 3, 96-96. You're thinking, my goodness, are the Warriors going to steal this game? But the Warriors, unfortunately, they just don't steal games like this. They have games like this against them stolen, but they themselves, and really this is a last 3 or 4 year problem. If you look at games that the Warriors have stolen in situations where they're down 5 with 38 to go versus games that they've lost when they've been in the reverse position. I mean, I don't know what the exact number is, Kyle, but it feels like it's about, I don't know, maybe 12 to about 2 in favor against for the Warriors over the last couple of years. And that may be me underestimating it a little bit. It might be more like 15-3 over the last 3 or 4 years in terms of games where Warriors have a 5-6 point lead with a minute or less than a minute to go, and the opposition winds up coming back and winning it. But Devin Booker with a jumper. Warriors get a couple of free throws from Steph, and then a brutal foul call against GP2 as he fouled Jordan Goodwin with 0.4 of a second to go after the Warriors get a miss on what would prove to be the final possession for the Suns. But Goodwin fouled, makes 1 of 2 at the line, and that's that. Warriors lose this one. 20 turnovers tonight for Golden State. 99-98 is the final. All right, 808 KNBR if you want to jump in and join the conversation. 415-808-5627, as it is Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. But let's get to the YouTube chat and get it rolling here on this Thursday night with the best YouTube chat in sports. Fozzie, Jimmy played his ass off today. He's tired of losing. Well, you know what, Fozzie? You know what Jimmy Butler gets for playing his ass off tonight? He gets to play his ass off again Saturday night against the Phoenix Suns inside Chase Center, because that's what it's going to take if the Warriors are going to win that game on Saturday. And then you know what he gets? He gets to come back after Sunday off and watch a little football, and he has to play his ass off again on Monday when the Warriors take on the Orlando Magic inside Chase Center. And then he's going to get a couple of days off, and then they're going to come back and they're going to play on Christmas, and he's going to have to play his ass off again. Like, none of this selective effort, coast through the season, Jimmy Butler. That's the one thing I think that has to be just absolute price of admission for the Warriors here moving forward as they try to shuffle through the next month to month and a half and fix the roster the best they can at the trade deadline to where they can give themselves a shot to compete and contend, because it feels all too much like last year at this time, or 2 years ago at this time, or 3 years ago at this time. Remarkably, even with Jimmy Butler on the team, it feels like it did back in the fall and winter of 22, 23, and 2024. Not good comment to get us going here, Fozzie. The 925. Dig 'em. Yeah, you can't call that there, but I go back to 20 turnovers. And look, by rule, and I know everybody, I say you can't call it there, and then, I mean, it was a foul. I mean, it bottom line, like, was it a foul? Was it not a foul? It was a foul. I just like when you let him play either way in that situation. I mean, I would have said the same thing. Nobody would have complained about it, but I would have said the same thing had it gone the other way. Although, again, I think the Warriors have had so many of these go against them that they would have obviously taken it. But yeah, It's turnovers and it's bad offense tonight. I mean, Phoenix ends up with under 100, and you can't win the game because your offense isn't good enough. And why is your offense not good enough? Well, it's not good enough because you gift wrapped 30 points off of 20 turnovers on a night where, by the way, you didn't outshoot those mistakes either. 28% from 3, 12 of 42. Didn't get the night from Steph that you needed to. And there's a lot of ugly three-point numbers. And you shoot under 40 for the game. So the Suns did shoot better than the Warriors did, basically even at the free throw line before the one make at the end proved to be the difference. But some ugly three-point shooting numbers. Guy Santos, 2 for 2. But how about this? Jimmy hit the big one. We played the highlight coming back. How about this for some ugly three-point numbers? Steph, 2 for 9. Quentin Post, 2 for 10. Draymond, 1 for 6. Moody, 1 for 6. Melton, 0 for 4 in the game tonight. Now, Pods and Guy Santos were a combined 4 for 5 in the game tonight. But other than that, everybody else, along with Jimmy's 1 and Buddy Hield's 1, everybody else basically just brutal shooting the ball. So you got to shoot you got to outshoot the mistakes and the turnovers, and the Warriors were unable to do that in the game tonight. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Joke's on you. JD, Moody, and Kaminga at 0 value. The starters were minus whatever because Moody couldn't hit a shot. And when they doubled Steph, Hield and Will Richard need to play more. Yeah, I mean, here's the problem. And I think those of you that watch and listen on a nightly basis, the problem is you're not wrong. I mean, tonight, but we always have this conversation after the fact. Every single night, you look at the outcome and you go, should have played this guy more because that guy didn't have it. Well, you know what? Next game, Steve Kerr might play Buddy Hield more, and Buddy Hield might be terrible. And it's always the guy that didn't play as much that would have made the difference, because it's always the guy who did play that comes up short. And it's a different guy every night. It's a different guy every night. Will Richard, I would agree. I would play Will Richard more. But Will Richard in place of? Is it in place of Moody? I guess it. Okay, then that's another young player. And look, we got this one on Twitter, and I wanted to get this one before we got to another chat. Kenny chiming in, Dubs stink right now. Dami Danger. Off all that rest, and Steve still forces the whole bench to play 12-13 man rotation is not a serious NBA rotation. I absolutely freaking hated the Warriors rotation tonight. Well, and we had somebody say it was AAU style. We had somebody say, I mean, what in the hell? It was like every 3 minutes. Like, what in the hell was that? That was a joke. I mean, that really was, like, he was subbing so quickly that you could hardly keep up with who was in the game tonight. And that, to me, and I get it, wanting more consistency with a starting rotation or a starting group, and then you build your rotation off of that. But he had played 12 by the beginning of the first quarter. Or by the beginning of the second quarter, I mean, Kaminga played at the beginning of the second quarter. He didn't play in the first quarter, but by the start of the second quarter, everybody who played tonight was in the game. I thought it was absolutely a joke. Pick your 9 or 10 and go with them. And again, you might say, well, JD, he played Pods 28 and Melton 15 and Buddy 10 and Guy 14. Like, okay, well then you know what? Just play those guys. GP2 didn't need to play. TJD didn't need to play. Kaminga rewarded with 9 minutes tonight off of those great practices. But again, it's not like, Kaminga wasn't good tonight. He didn't kill him, but it just, again, Kaminga can play or not play if it's going to be that small a scale. Like we've reached a point in which he's like, everybody knows he's a non-factor at this point, other than maybe on a given night, he can be a contributing role player. So I don't even want to do the Kaminga thing tonight. Like, he earned his way back in. Great. He didn't play particularly well. Like, nobody in their right mind would be saying Kaminga should have played 30 minutes tonight, or he had practices and only got 10 minutes. Well, that's 10 more minutes than he got the last 3 games. Like, miss me with all of that. Like, there's nothing that would say Kaminga should have been playing more, especially once he got out there. But play 10. Play it because it's clear he wanted to play Pods tonight. He wanted to play Melton tonight. He wanted to play Buddy. Just play 9 or 10. Play Steph, play Moody, play Jimmy and Draymond and Quentin Post, and then play 4 other guys. Pods is in that mix. Melton's in that mix. Buddy's in that mix. Gee's in that mix. And then if you want to reward Kaminga, play Kaminga. That's 10. You don't need TJD and Peyton, and you sure as hell don't need them by the end of the first quarter. Like, it's ridiculous. I thought the rotation tonight was a joke. I really do think the rotation tonight was a joke. Now, did it cost him the game? I don't think it cost him the game. But that's what you come up with off of 3 more off days? Or, that and all of the discussion about needing to change some things up and needing to find more consistency. I mean, that was brutal. That was really brutal. Official Dr. P, Kerr's meritocracy is leading to losses. Just play the best 10 players and call it a night. The doctor is always right. I'm with you, Doc. I'm with you on that. Just play, especially off of all this rest. They've completely wasted the rest. I mean, and again, I'm not going to have it. Like, they just played 3 games in 11 days. 2 and 10 before tonight. Like, we are not talking about rest. And they get 2 days off after Saturday. They get 2 days off before Christmas. They get 2 more days off before their next game after Christmas on the 28th in Toronto. And then they have a back-to-back. Oh, my God. There better not be anybody in that back-to-back that gets load managed other than Al Horford and maybe DeAnthony Melton. Like, everybody, Jimmy's ass better play. Draymond's ass better play. Steph's ass better play. Because you are not good enough after all this time off to be giving guys rest nights. That ain't it. And then you got 3 and 4. You got 3 games in 4 days at the end of December. Oh my God. Like, I don't want to hear, and then you got about 1 million home games the first 3 weeks of January. I don't want to hear any complaining about the schedule, honestly, the rest of the season, but at least until like the middle of March. Get me to the middle of March before I'm going to allow that again. Because there are plenty of days off that have already been had here. But yeah, I thought the rotation tonight was a joke. 12 players by the start of the first quarter or start of the second quarter in the game. That's trying to do too much if you're Steve Kerr. All right, let's get back to the YouTube chat. Alpha Nickelberry. JD, the Warriors need to make about 3 trades. Yes, they do. They need to move about 5 or 6 players. That is an absolute fact. And there was a report I saw that the Warriors, well, I want to make sure I get the phrasing right here for those that didn't see it. The report was that the Warriors are, where did I save this? I didn't save it in the right spot. That the Warriors are more willing than ever to trade Brandon Podziemski. More willing than ever to trade Brandon Podziemski. Well, they may need to trade Brandon Podziemski to add value to Kaminga because Kaminga is such a sunk cost at this point. And who's going to want Moses Moody? The question is going to be how many draft picks are they willing to throw in to be able to get somebody of substance into the fold here. But yeah, they look to me, Steph and Jimmy and Draymond are the only three. And again, if you're talking Anthony Davis or something like that, we can have a conversation about Draymond. But to me, those are the only three. You want to keep Melton in a perfect world. You know, Pods was good tonight, but I mean, we've seen him be inconsistent, just like we've seen Moody and Kaminga be inconsistent. So you got to figure out who your keepers. To me, they got to rebuild the whole thing in a lot of ways around Steph and Jimmy and Draymond on the fly here, and from a position of disadvantage. Because let me tell you the other thing: you get to where the Warriors are in the standings at 13 and 15, and you get to now where we are 4 weeks from the time in which Jonathan Kaminga can be traded. And you know what the rest of the league looks at the Warriors and thinks? They are desperate. They are desperate. They are desperate. We're going to hold out for another pick. We're going to hold out for another player. We're going to make them take a player on a bad contract back that we don't want. We're going to tell them no because they're so desperate, they may come back to us and include a little bit more. The rest of the league right now has got the Warriors. They got the Warriors in a very difficult spot. All right, let's continue here. Max Lopez, when we played small ball in the golden years, we still had length in Clay, Iggy, and KD. The only thing that was small was Dre at the 5. Yeah, you had big wings. You had big wings. And you had Sean Livingston, who was Sean Livingston was the point guard. And he was, Sean Livingston's bigger than Pajemski, Heald. He's bigger than anybody. The Moody, he's bigger than all of them, taller. Yeah. And so is Iguodala, and Durant was 7 feet tall, for crying out loud. So yeah, that's a fact. They need bigger and better wings. Payne, we need this Jimmy every night. He needs to have a consistent motor in the regular season. Yes, he does, Payne. 100%. None of this coasting through the regular season for Jimmy Butler. And you know what? If he winds up breaking down, he winds up breaking down. And you're just going to have to deal with it at that point. You can't play the game where you say, but JD, if he does this, he's going to break down and the Warriors are going to, well, you know what? I'd rather see that. I'd rather see this team win as many games as they can and actually qualify for the playoffs, actually get in the playoffs and have a shot than where they're headed right now, which is the 9 seed and not getting into the playoffs and not having a shot. Because right now, as we sit here on December the 18th, this team is cooked. They're cooked. They got no shot. You know what their destiny is right now? Maybe you win a 9-10 game and then a 9-7 or 9-8 game, and you get in and you play OKC. And you get wiped out in 4 or 5. That's what it would be at this point. Or maybe you get to the 8 seed and you win your play-in game and you become the 7 seed and you play Denver and you get wiped out in 5 or 6 because Steph goes off in one game. Maybe you have a game like the game on opening night against Denver at Chase. Maybe you steal one in Denver. All of a sudden it's a 6-point game. Or all of a sudden it's a 6-game series. Like that ain't going to cut it. JC Mack, the Suns made their run when Pods, again, is in it at point guard without Steph because the offense is stagnant. Pods plays better at the 2. Can't complain because Pat is not around. I agree with you. Nothing you could do tonight. There's no other point guard on the roster. Pajemski effectively still is the backup point guard, him and Pat. Obviously, if Pat's going to be playing and in the rotation, then he could get the nod there. Although I think we've already kind of seen that maybe Pat's going back to being somebody that's not going to play as much. We'll see, and we certainly hope everything is all right with the Spencers. I know they both missed their last game. I hadn't seen any reports as to anything, but we just wish them the best, both away from their respective teams due to personal reasons. So We hope everything's good on that front. But yeah, I mean, they didn't really have a choice tonight. And Pods was the least of the problems tonight. That's the other thing. Pods was the least of the problems tonight for the Warriors. I think he wound up being a game best in the plus minus tonight. He was, by far. In fact, he was a game best, not even a team best. He was a game best plus 15, 18 points, 8 of 11 shooting. He did have 2 turnovers, but again, who didn't have 2 turnovers for the Warriors in this game? Fozzie back here in the YouTube chat. Warriors bench players aren't bad compared to other teams, 5 through 11 guys. I would take our guys over teams' benches. It's the starters that are the problem. I'm going to disagree, Fozzie. It's although it's semantics, it's not 5 to 11. I think it's more like 7 or 8 to 15 that you like the Warriors, the Warriors guys. That at least that's where you're entitled to your opinion, but that's where I'll draw the line. I think where the Warriors lack is positions 4, 5, 6, and 7 on the team. I think 8 through or 4 through 6 in terms of pecking order, not in terms of actual position, but in terms of pecking order. Like they have their 3 guys, and then 4 through 6, they don't have nearly enough. And then 7 through 15, I think you don't. I'm with you. I don't think that they're bad players in that sense. But what you need is better 4, 5, and 6 players in your pecking order, and then that allows for you to need less from players 7 through 15 on the roster, and then you get more from those guys. And when you do, you're going to win. And if you don't, it's not going to kill you as much because those guys are not going to be playing as much because you've got better 4, 5, 6, 6 players. Now, these guys are your guys that should be your 8, 9, 10 right now are your 4, 5, 6. And that's where the problem lies. So I think we can agree to agree, I guess, on that, Fozzie, because I think you're onto something, but I would take it to another level. Let's do one more. We the champs, babe. Dubs were jacking bad threes like there's no tomorrow. Yeah, they took some horrible shots. And it's always when they get up and they get comfortable, and I maintain that is laziness. That's looking to coast. Like when you don't want to, it's laziness or fatigue, and we're not giving them the benefit of the doubt on fatigue anymore this season. I don't care how old they are. This is the roster they built, and they're going to have to live with it. But yeah, they take bad shots, which coupled with the turnovers allows for other teams to get back in the game. No question about it. All right, let's take a quick timeout. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. We will hear from players in the Warriors locker room, including Draymond Green. We'll hear from Steve Kerr from down in Phoenix. More calls, more texts. Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line is open, and more from the YouTube chat as the Warriors lose this one tonight. 99-98. It's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader.
KNBR presents the sounds of Dubs OT.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
No class, no balls.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court.
Now here's John Dickinson.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are, Kyle Har. We're talking a little Blazers Kings going down to the wire here. We welcome you back. Dubs OT with JD. They are in overtime up in Portland, and I'm watching this game. Portland just missed a couple of free throws. We'll get back to the Dubs conversation, but wild night obviously in the NFL. Seattle comes back from 16 down in the fourth quarter to beat the Rams and take over the number one spot in the NFC West, the number one spot in the NFC. We'll see if the 49ers can hold serve to get to 11-4 on Monday night. But I was watching Portland, missed a couple of free throws. Kings have the ball down one with 18 and a half seconds to go. And I was looking at it because Portland was blowing them out and pretty late in the game. And Kyle's like, what is going on what do you mean, JD? And they were up 18. Portland was up 18 with 4:30 to go. They were up 18. They were up 15 with 2:28 to go. They were up 15 with 1:53 to go. They were up 10 with a minute to go in regulation. And then the game ended up in overtime. And then the Blazers ended up in the overtime session as well. And it looked like Sacramento just won the game. They did. DeRozan hit a jumper, I think. And Sacramento came back and beat Portland. Although, did they call a foul? They called a foul with no time left on the clock. So, wow. How about that? They called a foul with no time left on the clock, Kyle. Where have we seen that before?
Yeah, that kind of sounds familiar.
Unbelievable. Yeah, DeRozan hit a 15-foot jumper. I mean, Portland was just up 6 in the overtime after they had blown about a 15 or a 16-point lead in the final 4 minutes. Again, they were up 10 with about a minute to go. Portland was. Kings, somehow I was looking away watching the Sharks game, and DeRozan hits a jumper to put Sacramento up by a point, and it looked like Denny, with a wild drive toward the basket, got fouled by Keon Ellis, and the Kings were running around thinking they had won the game, and they called the foul. So we'll see ultimately what they decide to do there. But yeah, it is a night of wild finishes throughout sports here. And we're talking about it on the leader. All right, let's get to our sounds at Dubs OT for tonight. And we talked about going to hear from Steve Kerr. We're going to hear from Draymond Green. We're going to hear from Steph Curry. Let's hear from Steve first and foremost. And you had to know he was going to talk about the turnovers.
We turned it over quite a bit. I thought we let our shoulders drop a little bit, energy, spirit, let ourselves, feel sorry for ourselves a little bit when they made their run, and really proud of the guys, the way they fought, and gave ourselves a chance. But we've just got to be sharper. 20 turnovers for 30 points. So we've got to be sharper with the ball. We've got to be better with our body language and our energy.
Yeah, and look, they can't get down when they make bad plays, but the bottom line is they just have to be more disciplined and value the ball and value possessions a lot more. 20 turnovers for 30 points is just, that's an abominable amount of turnovers. It's just a can't happen amount of turnovers. And it is the direct reason why the Warriors lost this game. All right, let's hear from Steve Kerr on the different Jimmy Butler and what led to Jimmy Butler having more of an expanded role in this game tonight, going for 31 points.
We had a couple film sessions the last 2 days and had a couple practices, and we were able to, just kind of remind the guys of how we played down the stretch last year after we traded for Jimmy, how he controlled games. When he's got the ball, we generally take care of it. We don't turn it over when he's got it. So that was the main focus the last couple of days. Let's just remember, what our team is built on and, how we need to play.
I think that's probably the one thing that the Warriors can take from them, the biggest positive that they can take from the game tonight as it relates to what they can do moving forward. But they also have to push Jimmy to want to take on that load as he did tonight, as with some consistency. And so, that's the part that remains to be seen. All right. You knew there was going to be a Jonathan Kaminga question. Jonathan Kaminga did play tonight. Steve Kerr said he was going to reward him before the Warriors left to go down to Phoenix and play this game because he's handled himself well and practiced hard and done some things in the last week after he had been taken out of the rotation. So here was Steve Kerr addressing Kaminga's playing time.
He was good. We wanted him to get out there and use his speed and athleticism, set screens, dives. He had a good pass to Gee in the first half, from the pocket. And it's good to see him back out there. As I said, he's handled himself really well, this last week, and I wanted to reward that.
All right, so Steve Kerr gets Kaminga out there again. Not really, you want to see a little bit better than a 1 for 5. The one thing I will say that was frustrating about Kaminga tonight, a couple of drives where you think he's going to go up and get fouled or finish. He got blocked at the rim twice in the game tonight, which that you're not expecting that. And that's kind of I don't think that's injury or not going hard or anything else. It's just not good enough, honestly. And it was unfortunate because he did attack a couple of times. And I know we've been talking about the fact that really hasn't been there for Kaminga since he came back from the injury a couple of weeks ago and found his way out of the rotation. But yeah, the lack of being able to finish even on some of those plays where you'd think somebody with his athleticism would be able to finish, that was, I thought, the most glaring and disappointing thing. He took maybe one bad shot, but whatever. He's 1 for 5. Again, I thought his energy was fine. Again, didn't really play enough to impact the game positively or negatively. But, it's always going to be a question as to Jonathan Kaminga's usage here until the Warriors figure out a deal for him to be included in between January 15th and February 5th. By the way, Portland did end up winning against Sacramento. There was a foul called on the final Portland possession after DeMar DeRozan had hit a jumper. Portland blew a massive lead. Denny Avdia ended up going to the free throw line, and he made both free throws. And so Portland won in overtime tonight in a game again that they were up 16 with like 4 minutes to go in regulation. Somehow it got to overtime. Somehow Sacramento ended up with a 1-point lead. But Portland had been a real tough luck team. They've had some buzzer-beating shots go against them, and that one by DeRozan would have been another one for them. And they get bailed out on a foul. Ended up being a Russell Westbrook foul, not a Keon Ellis foul. I think it was originally called on Keon Ellis, and then they went to the review and they said, nope, it's not on Keon Ellis. It's actually on Russell Westbrook. And so Avdia goes to the free throw line, made both free throws, and Sacramento had a heave with a second and a half to go. But alas, Portland winds up winning that game tonight against Sacramento up in Portland. And I mentioned that because Portland is now 11-16, I guess, with the win. They get to 11-16, and they're in the mix. The Warriors are closer to Dallas and Portland right now than they are to the 6th seed or the 7th seed in the Western Conference. So we mentioned Portland on that note, as Kyle Harr wants to throw up in his mouth a little bit, just at me noting that at this point. All right, Draymond. Let's hear from Draymond Green. An accountability night at the podium in Phoenix, by the way. Steph and Draymond both at the podium. Let's hear from Draymond on the 5 turnovers.
I'm just going to throw the pass when I know it's there. Instead of second guessing I'm a great passer. So I'm just going to, if I see the pass there, I'm not second guessing. I'm just going to throw it. If I turn it over, I turn it over. But I'm a great passer. So I won't second guess my passes. I'm just going to throw it when I know it's there.
Well, maybe you need to second guess him a little bit, Draymond. Jeez. I mean, and I don't think anybody's disputing. I mean, Kyle, am I crazy here? Am I crazy? Like Draymond, like I don't know that tonight's the night for defiance, Draymond. Like tonight's the night for I gotta cut down on him And again, you want your instincts to be, leading you down the proper path. But if your instincts are not leading you to make the right play, then maybe you do need to take a half beat.
If I turn it over, I
that
turn
is
it over.
brutal. If I turn it over, I turn it over. I don't think that's what any Warrior fan wanted to hear, given the state of Draymond's game tonight. And again, if you had to pin tonight on one Warrior above everybody else, it would have to be Draymond because of the 5 individual turnovers on a night where the team ended up with 20. And so plenty of blame to go around, but Draymond is a guy that's going to have the ball in his hands with some regularity, and that just can't happen. Can't happen. And to be a little flippant about it is probably not the best thing to have come out after the game as well. But again, he's Draymond. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Let's hear from Steph Curry addressing the Dillon Brooks flagrant foul, which again, we mentioned it. There've been so many different talking points about this game. That was a cheap shot by Dillon Brooks. Again, he has the follow through on the play and then kind of knows Curry's going to get tossed. And it's one of those situations where most people are not going to be paying attention to what actually happens to Curry on that play. So he just kind of, he gets the arm up and then, you know what, I'll take a little swing on the way down and try to make it look like it's part of the play. And again, I think he got Steph in a manner where Steph let everybody know that it happened. And then once you go to the replay, you see that it's just a blatant dirty play for a player who has got one of the more despicable track records in the NBA in recent memory. So they get the flagrant. Steph goes to the line. Warriors end up getting the 3 from Jimmy off of it. But here's what Steph had to say about Dillon Brooks and that foul that gave the Warriors life late.
I think the fact that we were down 5, that play happened, which was Bush League, but took advantage of it. Jimmy hits a big 3. Like you said, Book comes out, hits a tough shot. I get to the free throw line on the other end. And then, last possession, we got a great stop. Just the ball bounced a tough way. And there was a fight for it, and we fouled. So, even though we were out of challenges, just, again, that's the idea of you don't want to be in that situation, without the ball last possession. And we did enough, I think, throughout the game to not be in that position. But it's never easy to pull yourself out of a hole, and we're feeling that right now. So gotta keep pushing.
Got to keep pushing, and that means bring the same level of intensity and purpose to the floor Saturday night and Monday night and Christmas afternoon and in Toronto and in Brooklyn and in Charlotte, because there are some winnable games ahead. But again, with the way that the Warriors have played, it's gotten to the point where it kind of feels like each night could be a new rock bottom for this team, to be perfectly honest. And, got to get the rematch against Phoenix and then figure it out from there. I mean, this team has got to string a few together here. Honestly, I mean, it's going to sound ridiculous to say because the Warriors are not playing anywhere near this level right now, but they need to get Saturday and Monday and Christmas. And then, maybe you lose in Toronto, but you come back and you beat Brooklyn and Charlotte. I mean, they need a 5-1 close here to the calendar year of 2025. And then, you look up at that point and that turns a 13-15 into an 18-16, which still would be a disappointment. But then you'd feel like you got some momentum before you have the 11 out of 12, I think it is. And the one game on the road over that span is a game down in Inglewood against the Clippers, and nobody's playing worse right now in the NBA than the Clippers are. So, you got it. That's your chance, but you got to set yourself up here in the next 2 weeks before we flip to 2026 with some wins that allow for a strong beginning to January to really be impactful. And then you still look to change the roster. Maybe you look to change it a little bit less if you get on a run in the first half of January, but I don't think there's much doubt that the Warriors have to look to make multiple moves here once they have the ability to do it. But again, as we've said so often, none of that's going to matter if the Warriors can't get something done here in the meantime, and they are still 4 weeks away before they can officially do anything. All right, let's hear from Steph. One more from Steph, and always trying to take a positive spin toward things is Wardell, Stephen Curry. Here was his spin on the Warriors' struggles here 28 games into the season.
There's just moments where you're playing well enough, and then you have a bad 3 minutes, and teams are taking advantage of it. We ran into some nights where teams are shot way above their averages. That's how it goes in the league. And again, if you're going to be a good team, you're able to overcome all of that. We're obviously not a good team right now because what our record says and the fact that we found ourselves in these kind of positions. I do like the fact that it's challenging us and giving us a sense of urgency. Some years you learn these lessons while you're winning and then it catches up to you. But if we're going to do anything, relevant this year, feeling this pain right now and searching a little bit could be a good thing if we do something about it. So that's the moment we're in right now.
Could be a good thing, Kyle. Could be a good thing. Are you buying that? Are you buying it, Kyle? You buying it? Could be a good thing.
No. We'll see after January 15th. Say that.
Yeah. Well, let's just just because it's been we brought it up. I just happened to bring it up here. So the Warriors are 13-15 right now, Kyle. I'm going back. So this is post championship. So this is December of 2022. So 3 years ago, but we're going back four? With this season, it'll be 4 seasons, right? 22, 23, 24, 25 in the fall and winter. Warriors were 14-14. So they were actually a game better in that 22-23 season. They were a game better. They're 14-14 at this point of the season, but they were on their way to, and man, they were 500 like just about all the way. But yeah, 14-14 at the 28 mark. And then you go back 2 years ago, they were 14-14. So they were right exactly where they were the year before, but a game better than they are even this year at 14-14. That was a 14-14, by the way, that turned into a 21-25 before. I'm sorry, it turned into a 19-24. They actually got 5 under 500 on January the 24th before they got on a run to close the season. I think they ended up 27-12 from that point. So they were 14-14 after 28, on their way to 5 under before they got it together. And then last year they were shockingly, Kyle, last year they were actually 15-13 at this point. They had lost at home to Indiana, but they were, because they had always lost to Indiana up until this year at home. But they were 15-13, but they were on their way to, again, a sub 500 record in the lead up to the Jimmy Butler trade. So you add it all up, and this is just, it's nothing different from where the Warriors have been going back to post championship. They've been the exact same team within a couple of games over or a couple of games under 500 at the beginnings of these seasons. Now they have been able to get on runs. They have made trades, but they're going to have to do it again. And again, I think the more you keep asking to have to play great over the back half or the back third of a season, eventually you look for it and it just isn't there. And I think the Warriors they're putting themselves in a difficult predicament to have to ask for it again, unless they're going to really be augmenting the roster. We're not talking draft picks, we the champs. We're not talking draft picks. It's not happening. We're not talking. They need to make moves to try and make this team better. Period. And Again, it may not be enough to get them beyond where they're a first round and out kind of a team. But yeah, Ian J, they were 2020. They were 2019, 2020. They won 15 out of 65 before everything got shut down due to COVID. They were 15 and 50. We're talking about 15 and 13 last year. They were 15 and 50 for the whole COVID shortened 2019, 2020 season. All right, let's get some Kyle's clicks here to wrap things up. We'll get some fun with numbers, but yeah, that's good stuff there from Steph, from Draymond, and from Steve Kerr. So Warriors lose another one. By the way, 5-10 now are the Warriors in clutch games. 5-10. That ain't gonna cut it. And they just seemingly are inventing new ways to lose games. And tonight it was the turnovers and the inability, for the most part, to hit shots. All right, Blake, Verts, JD, they spent $150 million on Steph, Jimmy, Dre, and Kaminga. Collectively, these four are the biggest problem. They don't produce at the level of cap space they consume. Steph, obviously, the outlier. No, I mean, I don't disagree with that. But you're also not moving on from you're not moving on from the best three guys. And you've seen enough from the best three when you put competent role players around them. And again, that doesn't mean that they're not culpable or that they're not on certain nights. And look, Steph's worth every penny, by the way. He probably shouldn't even be included in that statement. Jimmy, you got to pay the freight to get Jimmy. He is that kind of a player. That's part of why you were able to get Jimmy, because you were willing to pay Jimmy. Otherwise, you wouldn't have Jimmy, and you'd be worse for not having Jimmy. That's just the reality. The Warriors found themselves in kind of a desperation mode in the middle of last year, and the Jimmy Butler thing kind of fell in their lap. So they're better for having him than not having him. But now they have to build this thing around him. Draymond is the one again. I think there are a couple of players they would look to maybe move on from Draymond for, not just Giannis, as has been reported, but Kaminga is the one that you bring him back with the intent on trading him. That was always going to be what the plan was with Jonathan Kaminga. But now his value, as we talk about every night, has plummeted to a point where you're going to have to add other things into the deal to try and be able to make it work. And that's not only more attractive assets. And let's be honest, I know a lot of Warrior fans don't like hearing this, but it's reality. Brandon Podziemski's got more value than Jonathan Kaminga. Like, Brandon Podziemski's a better player than Jonathan Kaminga, on a better contract than Jonathan Kaminga, and a player that most teams in the league can use as a functional rotation player. But now you have to add pods to a deal involving Kaminga plus some other salary maybe, just to get somebody that's intrigued to take Kaminga to be willing to play ball with you. In addition to, and that's not to say that Podziemski's great shakes to a point where you wouldn't have to include picks on top of that. So that's the predicament that the Warriors find themselves in here. But yeah, it's, again, you make your commitment to your best players, and then you have to build it around them. And if you can't build it around them, eventually there comes a point in time where you have to tap out and tear it down. But I still think Steph is playing too well overall to where you're gonna tear it down. You're not gonna tear it down. Maybe at the end of next year you do, but that's not a conversation that I think the Warriors should be having right now at all. It needs to be, how do you make this team better? You don't have a young core on your roster currently. Trade everybody. Honest to God, trade everybody. Shuffle the deck. And obviously you're literally not going to trade everybody, but Kaminga can go. Moody can go. Podziemski can go. Buddy Hield can go. Again, you're not necessarily getting great players back in return, but you need to try and find players that can fit and be manageable around the guys that are your keepers to try and make it work. And we're going to get into more depth on some of the trade rumors that dropped here today. It was going to be a part of the show depending upon how the game went tonight. And then all hell breaks loose, of course. Anytime you try and plan, hey, maybe back into the show, we'll talk a little bit about some of the trade rumors today. Anytime you plan to do that, the game goes completely bat-ish. And the NFL game goes bat-ish. And you have to scrap the whole thing. So that's why we do just dubs. And we'll do just dubs on Saturday from 11 until 12, and then have Dubs OT back at Harmonic on Saturday following the Warriors and the Suns. JC Mack, a night of refs finishing the games and deciding the results. Yeah, that is exactly what happened in Portland, and that is exactly what happened in Phoenix involving the Warriors tonight. All right, let's rapid fire through a few more here. Rich Ray, it's time to turn Draymond over to another team. Wow.
If I turn it over, I turn it over.
Yeah, I one more time, Kyle.
If I turn it over, I turn it over.
Not what you want to hear. You don't want to hear that kind of indignance from Draymond Green on a night where he is among the biggest reasons that the Warriors lost the game. San Jose Jazz fan 8, I would DNP Draymond for that comment. That is a frustrating comment. That is a really frustrating. And again, Draymond speaks what's on his mind. He's defiant. It's part of what makes him great. But I mean, tonight's the night where you need to have a little bit more accountability, I think, for your poor play. And he did that the other night in the aftermath of the game in Portland in his return. So maybe he didn't want to do it 2 nights in a row. I don't know. But that was not what is going to go down as a favorable response for the fan base. And I think the one thing, I think all the off days, it's time for the off days to end for this team, because I don't think a lot of the chatter that's been going on a lot of the off days, and tomorrow there'll be a ton of it, but I don't think a lot of that chatter at this point is beneficial. They need to play games and try to get on a run, or this thing's really gonna careen in a bad way. Mr. E-Painter, if the Warriors are willing to do everything to get Curry a 5th ring, then they should trade him. Wow. Trade Curry. No, not trading Curry. Unless he wants out. If Steph wants out, then I think that's a different conversation. But there's been no indicator that that's the case at this point. And again, would you rather go all in, or would you rather tear the whole thing down to the studs and be the great timeout Warriors? I'd rather go all in, because you're probably going to be the great timeout Warriors anyway. Why speed up the process? That's the reality check. God, I say it every night. The Warriors are going to stink. They're going to stink when Steph's gone. Like, it's reality. The time is coming. You might as well delay it. Might as well delay it as long as you can, especially when you've got a top 5 player of all time on your roster currently. Douglas Mikes. Trade everybody, including Pat Spencer's lacrosse equipment. The draft next year is pretty good. Next year is a good draft. By the way, I think the Warriors missed Pat Spencer tonight. Could have put the ball in his hands, although, again, as the Warriors have gotten healthier, seemingly it's much more difficult for Steve Kerr to find ways to play the players that can be effective when Steph and Draymond and Jimmy are not out there. So when it took 2 games for basically Pat to be barely in the rotation by Sunday in Portland, and again, we wish Pat and his brother and his family well, with both of those guys missing games last night and tonight, respectively. But they missed Pat tonight, honestly. He would have been somebody that would have been in the rotation, but Kerr played 12, so who would have not played? That was alarming to me too. It's like we talked for a couple of games about, all right, how's it going to look when Pat comes back, or when Steph comes back with Pat? And then it takes literally one game he starts him with Steph, which I thought was asinine. And then the next game, Pat plays like 5 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever the heck it was. But yeah, they could have, like, why can't Pat Spencer just play 14 minutes a game off the bench as the backup point guard? Like, why does it have to be so freaking difficult? Why can't he just play the 7 minutes Steph's not in the game in each half and have that be his time on the court? 8 minutes a half. Steph plays 32. Pat plays 16. Maybe you mix a little pods. Like, why does it have to be so hard? All right. Rusty Nail. Dubs only a couple games ahead of the lottery. Yeah, I don't want to think about that right now. Again, but I tell you what, you lose 4 of the next 6 before New Year's. Maybe that is a conversation we need to start having. All right, let's get another one here. How many more are we doing, Kyle? It's your call. We could do. I'm. All right, we the champs, babe. Confession: I don't like Melton. He looks small and frail out there. I don't think he looks frail. He is short. Again, he's another one of these guards. Like, he is a guard. He is not a wing. He is a guard. He has always been a guard. Like, some guys are guards and wings, but Melton is more of a guard, in my opinion, than Moody. Like, Moody is more of a 3. I feel like Melton to me is a 2 or a 1-2. Like, that's what he's been throughout his career. But I don't think he looks frail, but he's short. He's definitely not a wing. You know, Podziemski's a guard. I think Buddy Hield is a guard. They play Buddy at the 3, I think, too much. But Podziemski's a guard. Melton's a guard. I think Buddy's a guard. Seth is a guard. You know, I think Moody can play the 3. I think Will Richard can play the 3. You know, Kaminga's a 4. We've talked about that forever. But he's got to make shots. Here's the problem with DeAnthony Melton. You can't be this great glue guy plus minus 0 for 4. 0 for 4 plus 7. Guess what? They got Draymond to do that. Like, DeAnthony Melton cannot be a complete goose egg offensively. They're not good enough for that. Maybe if you had prime Klay Thompson with Steph, you could. He could play the Sean Livingston role. But, I mean, Melton's a winning player, but my God, I mean, from the moment Steve Kerr pronounced him a closing player, I don't think he's made a shot in like 2 games. I think he's like 1 for 9 in the last 2 games or something. But I like Melton. All right, let's get to our comment of the night.
Now, time for the Dubs OT comment of the night.
Estimated eyes. I can't chat about this ass team tonight. Cam Ward. Cam Ward has entered the chat. We don't have that drop somewhere, do we? Laying around.
It's definitely laying around. Give me a second.
It's around here somewhere. Cam Ward chiming in on the Warriors. Cam Ward chiming in from the.
Yeah, it might be a little dusty, but we'll take it up.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's got to be on somebody's soundboard. Cam Ward live from the Warriors locker room from the podium.
We're keeping the book right now. We ass, so we 0-4. We're keeping the book right now. We ass. You know what?
We might need to add Cam Ward. One more time.
We're keeping the book right now. We ass, so we 0-4.
You know what? We're gonna have to. We can cut the 0-4. We might need to cut the 0-4 part, but I don't know. Let's take a quick vote of the chat. I think that's got to be included in our losing montage.
It feels
right?
appropriate. It really does.
I think we got it. I mean, it's not a Warrior player, but who cares? I think Cam Ward's got to enter the Dubs OT lexicon here tonight. And then we can have Jimmy. And we can have Jimmy talking about playing, doing some closeout drills and playing some one-on-one or whatever. Oh my goodness. All right. What do we got? Fun with numbers. Let's do fun with numbers.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, Warriors lose this one, 99-98 is the final as they match their season-high losing streak. 3 straight losses. They get another crack at the Suns on Saturday at Chase Center. And, of course, we'll have Dubs OT for you right here on the leader immediately following that one. I think we got another NFL game that should be ending right about the same time as the Warriors game. I think we've got the Bears-Packers game on our airwaves, but that should line up for right about 8:15, right around the normal time that we would be hitting the airwaves here. And the leader, of course, will be on YouTube and Twitch as well. Warriors are 13-15. That is their low water mark point of the season. 6-11 on the road. And the season series now is tied at a game apiece between the Warriors and the Suns. Again, they'll play the third game of that series on Saturday night at Chase Center. Warriors blow leads. The Warriors blow leads, and they did it again tonight. Also, this is the 7th game this season where the Warriors have held an opponent under 100. When you look at that leads the league right now. 7 games holding an opponent under 100. Only Oklahoma City is the next closest with 6 times holding an opponent under 100. So the Warriors defense has been legit. 5-2 the Warriors are. So they've lost twice now when they have given up 100. 6th time this season, the Warriors' opponent came back from double digits to win. Warriors led by 14. It was 60-46. 15th clutch game, we talked about that. Warriors are 5-10 in the clutch games. And the 20 turnovers. 6th time this season, the Warriors have 20 or more turnovers. They've done it on the road all 6 times. They're 1-5 when they have 20 turnovers. And the Warriors are now 3-12 this season. When they lose the turnover battle, they are 10-3 when the turnover battle is even, or the Warriors win the turnover battle. And the Dubs are also 2-3 this season when held under 100. Jimmy Butler, 31 points, 3rd 30-point game of the season, 2 points shy of a season high for Jimmy. Steph with only 15. We talked about the disappointment. He did have 9 boards, 7 assists, and a steal. And Brandon Podziemski had 18 off the bench. That was a season high tying field goal attempts made for Podziemski as he was 8 for 11 and knocked down a couple of 3-pointers to boot there. All right, that's going to do it. We're going to call it a night on that note. Kyle, appreciate you, my man. Great having the band back together here again. I don't like all the off days, so let's reconvene on Saturday with a little Just Dubs, 11 a.m., and then immediately after the Warriors and the Suns in the rematch at Chase Center on Saturday night. I saw Cole Lapelt. Who else was rolling? Was it a Ryan McCarthy night?
No, it was Cole and Gunner. Both helped out tonight. And initially when I saw 2 sound editors, I was like, we don't need 2 sound editors. But on a crazy night like this, where Thursday night football went crazy and Warriors Suns went crazy. I mean, no, it was good. It was good.
No, it was good. So, yeah, appreciate Cole, appreciate Gunner, for Kyle Haar, for everybody in the YouTube chat and on the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. Appreciate the calls in the early part of the show. We'll talk to you Saturday. Thank you so much. Dubs OT with JD right here on the Sports Leader. John Dickinson.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Big audio quality show.
You are a sicko. And I appreciate you for it because I'm a sicko.
I turn it over.
I just know they kicked our ass tonight.
Do some closeout drills, play some one-on-one, see who got what.
I mean, if we keeping a buck right now, we ass. So
no class, no balls.
Everything's gonna be all right.